Right. Have you ever told yourself that you're honoring your energy when really you're just avoiding something uncomfortable? It's something that a lot of spiritual people can fall into. And there's a fine line between resetting to regulate and hiding behind regulations so that we don't have to stretch ourselves and we don't have to push beyond our comfort zone. Um, so I've been noticing in my own reflections, because I do daily voice journaling, and I kind of analyze them a bit. That I have a habit of labeling anything productive as bad, or it gets seen as bad, as if ease and ambition can't exist together. So if I'm pushing, then I can't be living a life of ease and regulation and all of those things going on. And the truth is that avoidance can wear that kind of spiritual disguise. So it looks calm on the surface and you look like everything is wonderful. But underneath, actually, what you're being fueled by is fear. So it's fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of losing control, even the fear of burning out. Because that's what's happened to me in the past. So I've burnt out and I've swung hard into softness, right? And that's been really important to me because I needed that. But there came a point where listening to my body became an excuse not to finish things. So I'd convinced myself that it was intuition or that I just needed to rest. And the fear was that I was afraid of that pressure. I was maybe afraid of success, afraid of doing things, afraid of what would happen if I did stuff. And I've been working on changing that as I started to realize that I actually need a challenge to grow my capacity, to grow my abilities, to grow my life, and to grow spiritually as well. And that regulation doesn't come with the absence of effort. So I don't do it to avoid effort or to avoid hard work. So I'm running my own business. And running my own business is hard. It's hard work. It takes effort. It takes dedication. And it does take sometimes turning up when maybe you don't feel like turning up. And when we slip into you see a lot of people when they're very spiritual and they slip into this really strong spiritual consciousness, they kind of think they should just be sitting on a yoga mat omming. And because it's nice and easy and it's nice and relaxed, but actually life doesn't work like that and you can't live like that. And when you take away the hard work, when you take away the effort, you take away the opportunity to grow, the opportunity to expand into something that you could expand into. And that's what I've been working on, is that kind of balance between what is avoidance and what is a real need for rest. Because I think that's where it's where you can get into like this kind of like balance. So it's like, which is right, which is wrong. So when you rest, it's going to restore your energy, ready for you to go again, to put the effort in. And that's where you have a natural rhythm. So you might notice at certain times of the day or certain things going on, like I've been sick and then I know I need to rest. Or certain times of the month, I might need to rest more than other times of the month. And that's listening to my body and working out a rhythm that works for me. But then there's avoidance. So there's that feeling that sometimes you get where you think, it's almost like you don't really feel like doing something and you know it's going to be hard and maybe you don't want to confront it. And that's the kind of thing when you're doing your to-do list, you put at the bottom and you think, I'll do that once I've done some other things. And that's when you kind of know that's when you need to push through and do those things, when you need to actually face those things and do them, because you're then starting to hide behind, well, maybe I'm feeling tired and maybe I need to do this and maybe I need to do that. And listening to that, because actually that's not necessarily where you want to be. Or you slip into, I'm feeling all spiritual today, I'm feeling all zen, so I don't need to do that work because I'm feeling zen, so I'm okay. So again, you're actually then hiding behind that, I feel spiritual, as an excuse to not do the thing that you find difficult. So when I think about do I need to rest or am I avoiding something, I can think about, is what I'm trying to do, is it going to refill me or is it actually allowing me to shrink? So is it actually taking me away from where I want to be, or is it going to give me the energy to go and do it? And it's thinking about that and how it works for you personally. And that's tuning into your body and kind of figuring that out. And then a lot of this comes down to as well reframing productivity. So in my mind, there's been a challenge with the burnout is that productivity can mean overdoing it. So your brain almost gets into a loop, and my brain has got into this loop of productivity is, there's a fear behind productivity, because if I'm too productive, I might end up in burnout. And it's kind of like starting to get myself to understand that productivity is not the opposite to healing. Productivity is what we do when we have energy. It allows us to use our energy in the most effective way, and kind of redefining productivity as not massive output, but massive understanding. So it's saying, okay, I have this energy today. I'm going to work, and I'm going to do as much as I can in the time when I'm working. And then at the end of the day, when I decide it's time to stop, I'm going to put down my tasks and I'm going to put them away and leave them and not worry about them. Because what happens is when we get into burnout is actually we're not stuck in that productivity mode. We're stuck in the worry mode. So those tasks stay on our mind afterwards. And that's burning us out because we're using all that mental energy to go through them again and again and again and again and again. And that's where it can really kind of just wipe us out. And then you can kind of use your body as a compass. And this is something I'm working on. I work on this all the time. So I'm becoming more and more aware that my ability to step out of where I am and to witness it and to analyze it is very, very high when I decide to do it. Not necessarily in the moment. So if I'm busy focusing, I won't necessarily be very conscious of what I'm doing. I'm just doing my job and I'm not aware of anything else that's going on. So what I'm planning on doing is introducing more conscious awareness as I'm going through my work. So even though I do mini resets, actually doing more awareness. So stopping myself maybe every 20 minutes just to do a really quick check-in. How am I feeling? Like even now as I'm doing this, one of the things I've noticed, since I've moved, I've been working from my dining room table. And my neck doesn't like it very much. And I can feel that sat here. So I spend a lot of time practicing sitting upright. So I'm rebalancing my neck, even if it feels a bit weird, just to kind of stretch that out and then know that that's something that's happening for me and tuning into that. So when I can feel it, I'm like, okay, right now take a break to stretch your neck and then you can come back to it. And then, noticing when tension comes up and thinking, is it activation for growth or is it anxiety? So am I feeling anxiety or am I feeling a form of activation that wants me to grow, that wants me to move forward, that's scaring me? And kind of just tuning into that a little bit as well and what's happening in my body and distinguishing the difference between what is anxiety and what's not anxiety. And it's learning your body, learning your signals. And we all have our own unique signals and our own unique system, but we don't take the time to tune into it. And so it's the practice of developing that interoception skills. Now, I'm going to go off topic because I love to go off topic. But when I was training to be a yoga sports coach, we talked a lot about what is called proprioception. And I have a very, I think still do, hopefully I still do, I have a very high proprioception ability. Now that means your ability to sense where your body is in space or to be able to move your body. So if somebody said to me, move that shoulder blade, and I went to see a physio about this one, he showed me how to move my shoulder blade back into the right place. And he said, right, now you try it. And I just did it. And he said, I've never seen anybody do it so easily. Because I've done all that yoga training, I kind of understand how to put my body in the right place at the right time. And that's proprioception. And that's a skill you can learn by doing things like yoga and body awareness. But then there's another form of body awareness, and that's noticing what's happening inside your body. So not where your body's moving or how it's balancing or where it is, but how does it feel inside? And that's called interoception. And again, that's something you can learn. So the more you tune in to, I've got a slight sensation here in my gut, like just around my solar plexus. What does that mean? What does that mean for me right now? And tuning in and starting to understand what's happening inside my body and what is it trying to tell me. And I've been a long believer of Louise Hay and the power of our mind and how our body is sending us these signals. So when we have a body ailment going on, there's something going on in our mind that's happening and that we need to address. And so when we can start to tune in and get that interoception a lot more and start to understand, okay, what's happening in my body? and why. And I'm less in line with, okay, there's a prescribed, if everybody has a shoulder problem, they all have the same issue, because we're all very different. And we may have it may be generalized similar, but it may be different. And so it's starting to tune in and think, okay, what does that really mean? So I'll give you a perfect example. I have tendonitis. Well, it doesn't hurt anymore. I have tendonitis in my right bicep. And it kind of fires up there and goes all the way. It's really painful when it fires up, and it hasn't fired up for a very long time. But that was triggered. It occurred 3 days before my ex-boyfriend got married and lasted for about a week. And I am absolutely 100% certain that there was an emotional reaction to that event that caused excruciating pain in my shoulder for about a week, and then it recovered. And I was like, well, why is it recovered? And it comes back intermittently. But I've had problems with my shoulder since my dad died. Okay, so for me, it's my right shoulder. It's always my right shoulder. So I carry a lot of emotional burden on my right shoulder. So when I'm feeling something strong emotionally, something will happen in my right shoulder. And I know that, and I can tune into that, and that's starting to learn about your body. And this is not the topic I wanted this video to go into, but we're going with it, right? We're going with it. So anyway, we're over to my body as compass. Okay. So during the day, what I'm trying to do to improve that even more is to tune in and to micro tune my interoception. So rather than having the big picture, so shoulder pain means this, like right now in this moment, what's my breath feel like? I'm recording this video. I'm maybe a little bit anxious. Am I putting the right info out? Am I putting the right content? Are people going to be interested in what I've got to say? So maybe my breath is a little bit higher, a little bit tighter. And tuning in on those really micro levels. Is there anything small happening in my body right now that I can tune into? And what is that trying to tell me? And working on that as I go through my days so that I can really start to understand myself and what I need. And then remembering that kind of like actually pushing myself is a form of regulation as well. And when I say pushing myself, I mean challenging, giving myself something to work towards, giving myself a positive goal and working towards that and achieving it, because that gives you a form of self-regulation, because you're actually achieving your goals, and it can actually help to regulate your body. And if those goals are positive and they're taking you forward and growing you, whether that be spiritually, emotionally, mentally, whatever way you want to grow, then that's a positive thing. And so it is making those small deliberate stretches in the day when I finish a task. It's just tuning in. It's not allowing my ego to resist the need for a small break, for a micro check-in, for a tuning in, for an understanding, and allowing myself that, and balancing my ego and my desire to be spiritual and successful. And I think that's one of the big challenges for anyone that wants to be spiritual, is there's a very big pushback between spirituality and success. But actually they go hand in hand, particularly if you're doing something that is guided by your spirituality. So just remembering that it's fun. And that spiritual growth doesn't mean doing less, right? That's not what it actually means. It's about doing what's aligned and with presence. So it's about stepping into that really true you. And the work is learning to know the difference between fear and wisdom. And that, that's like everything. It's like when we read The Seat of the Soul, it's the difference between fear and love. And which one are you going to choose? That's the whole point. The whole point of life. What are you choosing, fear or love? So if you've liked this video and it resonates, remember to like and subscribe, because I'd love to keep you on, and maybe you'll like some of my other content. Or if you would like to connect even deeper, come and join my free group, The Sacred Pause. I have put the link in the description, and I would absolutely love to see you on the inside.